If you can't get someone out of your head no matter how hard you try, it's not because you're obsessed or losing control. It's because there's an active, energetic connection between you and that person, and I'm going to explain exactly what's happening in your brain and nervous system right now. Before we dive deeper, drop a like on this video and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love connecting with people from all over the world. From a psychological standpoint, when someone occupies your thoughts constantly, your brain isn't malfunctioning, it's responding to unresolved emotional data. Your mind keeps returning to that person because there's something incomplete in the relational dynamic, a conversation that never happened, an emotion that was never expressed, a connection that was never properly closed. Neurologically, this involves your default mode network. That's the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on external tasks. It naturally wanders to unfinished business. And if someone triggered a deep emotional response in you, your brain categorizes them as unfinished business. It's not obsession, it's your nervous system trying to process what it couldn't resolve in real time. Here's what most people don't understand. When you feel energetically connected to someone, it means they impacted your emotional state at a nervous system level. They didn't just pass through your awareness, they registered as significant. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that assigns emotional weight to experiences, flagged this person as important. That's why they keep surfacing in your thoughts. Psychologically, this often happens with people who mirror something back to you that you needed to see. Maybe they validated a part of you that's usually invisible. Maybe they challenged you in a way that felt activating rather than threatening. Maybe they represented a possibility you've been denying yourself. When someone reflects an underdeveloped part of your psyche, your mind becomes magnetically drawn to them. According to attachment theory, repetitive thoughts about someone can also indicate an activated attachment system. If this person made you feel seen, safe, or understood, even briefly, your nervous system wants to return to that feeling. It's not weakness, it's biology. Humans are wired to seek proximity to people who regulate our emotional states. But here's the part people miss. Sometimes you can't stop thinking about someone because they disrupted your equilibrium. They entered your life, shifted something fundamental, and then left before your system could recalibrate. Your brain hates incomplete patterns. It will replay scenarios, reimagine conversations, and analyze interactions trying to create closure that never came. From an energetic perspective, thoughts are frequencies. When you think about someone repeatedly, you're tuning into their frequency.
And if they're thinking about you too, that creates a feedback loop. Two nervous systems pinging each other across distance. It's not mystical, it's resonance. You're both holding space for each other in your awareness, and that creates a tangible energetic thread. This is why certain people haunt you while others fade immediately. The ones who linger activated something deeper than surface-level attraction. They touched a wound, reflected a desire, or awakened a part of you that had been dormant. Your subconscious recognizes them as catalytic. That's why your thoughts keep circling back. Behaviorally, when you can't stop thinking about someone, you'll notice specific patterns. You check their social media, even though you tell yourself not to. You replay conversations in detail, analyzing tone and word choice. You imagine running into them and rehearse what you'd say. You look for signs they're thinking about you too. These aren't signs of pathology, they're signs of an active emotional process trying to complete itself. Here's what happens in your body. When you think about this person, your heart rate might shift slightly, your breathing pattern changes. You might feel a subtle pull in your chest or stomach. That's your nervous system reacting to their energetic imprint. They're not physically present, but your body responds as if they could be. That's how deep the neural pathway has become. Psychologically, this kind of mental preoccupation often emerges after encounters that felt fated or significant. When someone enters your life at exactly the right moment, says exactly what you needed to hear, or sees you in a way no one else does, your brain codes that as meaningful. And meaningful experiences create strong memory consolidation. Your hippocampus stores those moments with emotional tags that make them easy to retrieve. From a spiritual standpoint, some traditions would say you're experiencing a soul recognition, that this person's energy signature is familiar to your deeper self. Whether you believe in past lives, soul contracts, or collective consciousness, the phenomenology is the same. You feel drawn to them in a way that transcends logic. Your rational mind can't explain it, but your body knows. Here's the neuroscience. When you interact with someone who activates you emotionally, your brain releases a cocktail of neurochemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, sometimes even adrenaline if the connection feels risky or forbidden. Your brain gets chemically reinforced every time you think about them. That's why the thoughts feel almost addictive.
You're literally getting a neurochemical reward each time they cross your mind. But there's a difference between healthy connection and rumination that keeps you stuck. If thinking about this person energizes you, inspires growth, or helps you understand yourself better, that's productive.
If it drains you, creates anxiety, or prevents you from being present in your actual life, that's when the energetic connection has become unbalanced. According to psychology, the intensity of your thoughts about someone often correlates with what they represent in your internal world. If you grew up feeling unseen, someone who truly saw you will occupy enormous mental space. If you learned love was conditional, someone who accepted you unconditionally will feel irreplaceable. They're not just a person, they're an experience your nervous system has been craving. This is also why you can't just logic your way out of thinking about them. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, doesn't have authority over your limbic system, the emotional part. Telling yourself to stop thinking about them is like telling yourself to stop feeling hungry. The need is coming from a deeper place than conscious thought. From a relational perspective, sometimes you can't get someone out of your head because the relationship exists in potential rather than reality. You never got to fully explore what it could be. Your mind fills that gap with imagination, and imagined connections can feel more powerful than real ones because they're not limited by disappointing reality. They remain perfect in your mind. Here's what high-functioning people understand about this. They don't shame themselves for the thoughts. They recognize them as information. What is this person teaching me about what I want? What part of myself did they activate that I need to develop independently? How can I use this magnetic pull as fuel for my own growth, rather than waiting for them to complete me? Energetically, when someone won't leave your thoughts, it can also mean there's communication that needs to happen, something unsaid that's creating static in the connection. Your intuition knows there's unfinished business. That's why your mind keeps returning to it. The loop will continue until the communication completes or until you consciously decide to release it. But here's the part that changes everything. You can't get them out of your head because you're not supposed to yet. That obsessive thinking isn't a problem to fix. It's a process to honor. Your psyche is integrating an important experience. It's rewiring based on what this connection revealed. Give it time, give it space. Don't pathologize what's actually transformation in progress. Psychologically, these intrusive thoughts about someone often peak right before a major internal shift. Your old self is dying, your new self is emerging. And this person, whether they know it or not, became the catalyst. They're in your head because they're part of your evolution. Once you've integrated the lesson, the intensity will naturally decrease. From a behavioral standpoint, you'll know the energetic connection is shifting when thinking about them no longer disrupts your peace. You can hold them in your awareness without longing, without pain, without the compulsive need to reach out. That's when the connection has served its purpose. You've extracted the growth it offered. Here's the truth most people avoid. Sometimes the person you can't stop thinking about isn't meant to be in your life long term. They're meant to crack you open, to show you what's possible, to prove that the kind of connection you want actually exists. And then they leave so you can go find it with someone who's actually available and aligned. According to psychology, these catalytic people often appear during transitional phases, when you're outgrowing an old version of yourself, when you're ready for deeper intimacy, when you're finally willing to risk being fully seen. They don't show up randomly. They show up when you're ready to expand beyond your current relational capacity. Neurologically, the reason you can't just forget them is because they helped create new neural pathways, new ways of feeling, new standards for connection. Your brain has tasted a different quality of relating, and it won't let you go back to what no longer serves you. That's not torture. That's upgrade. But listen carefully to this. If you're constantly thinking about someone who's unavailable, inconsistent, or clearly not choosing you back, that's not an energetic connection. That's an anxious attachment pattern. There's a difference between two people holding mutual energetic space and you holding space for someone who's moved on. One is connection, the other is suffering. From a somatic perspective, your body will tell you which one it is. Does thinking about them create expansion in your chest or contraction? Do you feel energized or depleted? Does your nervous system settle or activate? Your body knows the difference between love and anxiety, even when your mind confuses them. Here's what emotionally intelligent people do. They honor the thoughts without acting compulsively on them. They don't text at midnight. They don't engineer coincidental run-ins. They don't stalk social media for breadcrumbs. They sit with the longing. They let it teach them. They extract the wisdom without making the other person responsible for their peace. Psychologically, that's maturity.
recognizing that someone can matter deeply to you without needing to possess them, define the relationship, or force closure. You can hold them in your heart while still living your life fully. The two aren't mutually exclusive. According to neuroscience, repetitive thoughts create what's called a default neural pathway. The more you think about someone, the more automatic those thoughts become. But you can create new pathways, not by suppressing the thoughts, but by redirecting your focus when they arise. Acknowledge the thought, feel the feeling, then consciously choose where to place your attention next. From an energetic standpoint, sometimes releasing someone from your constant thoughts requires a ritual. Write them a letter you'll never send. Speak to them in meditation. Thank them for what they taught you, then consciously cut the energetic cord. Visualize the thread between you dissolving. Give your nervous system permission to let go. But here's what I want you to understand. If someone is truly meant to be in your life, you won't have to obsess. The connection will feel easel. Thoughts of them will bring peace, not turmoil. You'll think about them because it feels good, not because you can't stop. That's the difference between destiny and distraction. Psychologically, healthy connections energize you. Unhealthy ones drain you. If you can't get someone out of your head and it's destroying your focus, sleep, and emotional regulation, that's not love. That's limerence. That's fantasy. That's your nervous system mistaking intensity for intimacy. From a developmental perspective, these obsessive thought patterns often stem from early attachment wounds. If you learned that love is hard to get, unpredictable, or requires constant effort, your brain will recreate that dynamic. You'll fixate on people who are unavailable because that feels like love to your nervous system. It's not. It's familiar. Here's the shift. High-functioning people recognize when their thoughts about someone are serving them versus depleting them. They ask, is this person making me better or just making me busy? Is this connection expanding my life or narrowing it? Am I growing or just waiting? According to psychology, you know it's real when thinking about them inspires action in your own life. You work harder, you create more, you become the version of yourself they saw in you. But if thinking about them just makes you scroll their Instagram for hours and neglect your actual responsibilities, that's not connection, that's avoidance. From a practical standpoint, here's what you do. Set boundaries with your own mind. Allow yourself 5 minutes a day to think about them fully. Really lean into it. Then when the time is up, redirect. This teaches your brain that you're in control. The thoughts don't control you. Here's what changes everything. When you can't get someone out of your head, it's often because you're waiting for them to give you something only you can give yourself. Permission, validation, worthiness, safety. But the moment you provide those things for yourself, the obsessive quality of the thoughts dissolves. They become just thoughts, not commands. Psychologically, this is called differentiation, the ability to maintain your sense of self even when deeply connected to another. It means you can care about them without losing yourself. You can think about them without being consumed. That's emotional maturity.
From a relational standpoint, if you can't get someone out of your head and they're equally unable to get you out of theirs, eventually one of you will reach out. Real connection finds a way. But if you're doing all the energetic heavy lifting while they're living their life unbothered, you're not connected. You're attached. Here's the question that will set you free. Am I thinking about this person because they add value to my life, or because I'm avoiding something in myself? Sometimes obsessive thoughts about another person are just elaborate distractions from your own unprocessed emotions. It's easier to think about them than to face what you're actually feeling. According to neuroscience, your brain will keep returning to thoughts that have emotional charge. If you haven't fully processed the grief, anger, confusion, or longing associated with this person, your mind will loop. But once you sit with those emotions, fully feel them, and let them move through your system, the thoughts lose their grip. From an energetic perspective, you might also be thinking about them because they're going through something and unconsciously reaching out. Energy doesn't follow the rules of physical distance. If someone needs you, thinks about you, or is processing their connection to you, you might feel that as intrusive thoughts. Your nervous systems are still communicating, even without words. Here's the final piece. If you can't get someone out of your head, it might be because your soul chose them as a teacher. Not a life partner, not a forever person, a teacher. They came to show you something about yourself, about love, about what you're capable of feeling. And once the lesson lands, they'll fade from your mental landscape naturally. Psychologically, these people are called transitional figures. They bridge who you were and who you're becoming. They don't stay. They're not supposed to. They catalyze and then they exit. And if you're trying to make them stay, you're missing the entire point of why they came. From a spiritual perspective, some souls agree to wake each other up, to disrupt each other's comfort zones, to remind each other what aliveness feels like. That's what's happening when you can't get someone out of your head. They woke something up in you that had been asleep, and now you're responsible for keeping it awake, with or without them. Before you go, make sure to watch the video appearing on your screen right now. It's going to take this understanding even deeper and show you exactly what to do next. And if this resonated with you, drop a comment telling me which part hit hardest. I read every single one.